Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Lori Johnson.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. Now that the crash site has been identified, the rush is on to find the black boxes from AirAsia Flight 8501. U.S. Navy ships are on location to help find this most critical piece of evidence in the search for answers to what happened to bring down the plane. The families of those who died in the AirAsia plane crash gathered to pray Wednesday at the Crisis Center at Surabaya Airport as search crews recovered bodies from the crash site in the Java Sea. There were 162 people on board when the plane went down in bad weather Sunday. The remains and a debris field were discovered about 6 miles from the last point of contact with the pilots and only about 100 feet deep into the water. Officials say sonar images have identified what appear to be large parts of the plane, but weather conditions are not ideal and strong currents are moving the wreckage. Divers are also continuing their search for more bodies and the plane's black boxes with the help of hundreds of U.S. sailors.
We are greatly saddened by the news.
It is still unclear exactly what happened and why. Some speculate the pilot may have caused a stall by trying to gain altitude too quickly. So far, the bodies of those recovered did not have life vests. Investigators say that suggests there was no time for passengers or the crew to sound the alarm. And some of the metal wreckage discovered had burn marks, which could suggest an explosion or a possible fire.
So once you have the debris, you look at it all. And fire stands out, explosion stands out. Was it ripped apart or was something else going on here?
U.S. sailors are helping with 24-hour search operations with helicopters, advanced radar, and sonar.
Here at home, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio met with police union leaders Tuesday in an effort to work out their differences. Police Commissioner Bill Bratton was also at the meeting. The public rift between de Blasio and the police has grown wider in recent days. On Monday, the mayor was booed at a graduation ceremony for new police officers. And over the weekend, dozens of officers turned their backs on him when he spoke at a police funeral. One union official said de Blasio's criticism of the police has led to a, quote, anti-cop atmosphere. Meanwhile, the NYPD is working to soften its image and improve the way it engages with the community it serves. One of the ways it's doing so is through social media. The department is sending its top brass to an in-house Twitter school, and now every precinct and some special commands have an account. They also developed a blog and a podcast that highlights departmental units.
The Pentagon has released 5 more detainees from the terrorist detention facility at Guantanamo Bay. 2 men from Tunisia and 3 from Yemen have been held for 12 years without charges. A government task force said the men are no longer a threat but can't be sent back to their home countries. They'll be resettled in Central Asia, the nation of Kazakhstan. The Obama administration has released several detainees from Guantanamo Bay in recent weeks. Congressional Republicans say the president is exceeding his authority and creating a constitutional crisis.
The United Nations Security Council rejected a Palestinian resolution Tuesday. The proposal would have established a Palestinian state within a year and divided Jerusalem, all without a negotiated settlement with Israel. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has that story.
The failed resolution was a blow to the Palestinian bid to gain support from the international body that would have imposed a solution on Israel.
The result of today's vote shows that the Security Council as a whole is clearly not ready and willing to shoulder its responsibilities in a way that would allow for the adoption of a comprehensive resolution and allow us to open the doors for peace and for a just and lasting solution based on international law.
Prior to the vote, Israeli diplomat Israel Nitzan charged the Palestinians with doing everything possible to avoid direct talks with Israel.
They have engaged in a never-ending string of political games, and now they are parading into this council with a preposterous unilateral proposal. I have news for the Palestinians. You cannot agitate and provoke your way to a state.
The resolution called for Israel to leave the West Bank by 2017. That's the area Israel won in the 1967 Six-Day War, and many Israelis consider their biblical inheritance. U.S. Ambassador Samantha Powers called the resolution deeply unbalanced and said it would undermine negotiations.
We voted against this resolution not because we are comfortable with the status quo. We voted against it because we know what everyone here knows as well. Peace will come from hard choices and compromises that must be made at the negotiating table. Today's staged confrontation in the UN Security Council will not bring the parties closer to achieving a two-state solution.
It's not clear what steps the Palestinians will take now, but it's likely the U.S. will increase the pressure on Israel and the Palestinians to return to negotiations. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
We turn now to the Philippines, where at least 53 people are dead after Tropical Storm Jangmai hit the island country. The storm made landfall Monday. It triggered deadly flash floods and landslides and packed winds of up to 40 miles an hour. At least 13,000 people were forced to leave their homes. Just last month, Super Typhoon Hagapit killed 18 people and caused more than $100 million in damage. And last year, Super Typhoon Haiyan left more than 7,000 people dead and wiped out entire villages. Now, to learn how you can help people in the Philippines recover after natural disasters like this one, log on to cbn.com/disaster relief.
Well, rich people in France are breathing a sigh of relief. That country's super tax is dropped as of today. Socialist President Francois Hollande proposed a tax of up to, imagine this, 75% on people earning above 1 million euros a year. That's about 1.2 million American dollars. One critic called it Cuba without the sun. Many wealthy French people fled the country to avoid paying the tax, like actor Gerard Depardieu, who became a Russian citizen. The super tax was rejected by a court, rewritten, and ultimately netted only a sliver of its projected proceeds.
It is New Year's Eve, and as the year winds down, many people are still wrapping up their financial business for 2014, including charitable contributions. Up to 75% of Americans make a donation of some form to charity during the holiday season, but their time is running out. Checks have to be postmarked by tonight for those who want to deduct their gifts from their taxes for this year.
Well, the Bible tells us to give, and believe it or not, doctors now agree. Overwhelming evidence proves generosity is good for your health, from preventing cancer and heart disease to building self-esteem.
The facts are clear. Givers live longer, happier, healthier lives.
Several recent studies show generosity triggers a number of significant changes, all good, both mentally and physically.
Here at the world-renowned Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Michael McKee develops ways to enhance the inner healing response of patients.
There are tremendous health benefits to giving.
Stress leads to illness, and Dr. McKee says giving can reverse the deadly effects of stress. It doesn't matter whether you give time or money, or if it's to a loved one or complete stranger.
Well, we know that the giving tends to reduce blood pressure, slow heart rate. Again, giving reduces stress. It reduces depression.
Researchers from the National Institutes of Health studied MRIs of people who gave to various charities. They found generosity stimulates the reward center in the brain, releasing chemicals that strengthen our immune system.
And we know again that there's a release of endorphins. These are the kind of magical chemicals that come from various areas in the brain, and they flood throughout the system. They're cousins, basically, but some reduce pain, some kind of seek out sick-looking cells and exert a healing effect on them. They have many different positive effects.
Dr. Stephen Deutsch is the chairman of psychiatry at the Eastern Virginia Medical School. He says doctors commonly use giving in treating depression.
We encourage people to not be so self-absorbed and to think about others. We even tell people to practice being concerned and invested in other people.
He says the more people give, the easier it gets.
Sometimes they may feel initially that it's fraudulent, that's not really who they are. But over time, it becomes more and more comfortable for them, and it does have a powerful therapeutic effect.
So people who feel powerless or worthless find a new purpose and value by seeing their actions help others. And they tend to live longer and healthier lives.
Once again, the things that we've been reading about in the Bible for thousands of years are actually good for not only our spirit, but for our physical health as well.
Coming up, finding hope in the midst of chaos. See how Orphans Promise is helping Ukrainians caught in the middle of a war. Today, we're continuing our look back at CBN's coverage of the biggest stories of 2014. In Ukraine, weeks of political protests led to the ouster of pro-Russia president. Russia's Vladimir Putin then responded by annexing the Crimean Peninsula and backing rebel fighters in the east.
The fighting has taken a heavy toll on the population. CBN's Orphans Promise has been helping meet both the physical and spiritual needs of Ukrainians caught in the middle of the crisis. CBN's George Thomas brought us this story from the war zone.
Galina Kucher will be the first to admit she's in unfamiliar territory. In 23 years of working for CBN, have you experienced anything like this?
No, I've dealt with social disasters all my career, but this is by far the biggest challenge I've ever had to face.
Since the crisis in Crimea erupted and pro-Russian separatists invaded parts of eastern Ukraine, she and her team have worked around the clock distributing humanitarian aid.
Today people need food, tomorrow they need medical assistance, or you have to evacuate them from the war zone. We weren't ready for this kind of disaster, but life has put us in such circumstances that we've had to risk our lives to save children, feed them, attend to their medical and psychological needs.
For several months now, Orphans Promise has been running a hotline connecting a stream of refugees coming out of the war zone here in the east and the Crimean Peninsula, with families and churches willing to help.
This war has shown the true face of the Protestant church in Ukraine. They are united and helping. The government couldn't handle the flow of refugees, but thanks to the Christians, we were able to respond.
She's made several trips here to the war zone, and each time struggles with the magnitude of suffering and heartbreak.
In 23 years, I've coordinated hundreds of humanitarian distributions, but I have never had to hand out bread to people. It's just insane that in Ukraine, the country that grows wheat and is the breadbasket of Europe, people would be in need of bread.
And this is a war that's happening on the doorsteps of Europe.
Ukraine is a peaceful nation, and since our independence has never fought anyone, we gave away our nuclear weapons. We have no real army. I never thought our nation was at risk, especially from Russia.
About 1,000 Russian troops still reportedly operate in Ukraine, with an additional 20,000 on the Russian side of the border. Thousands of pro-Russian separatists firmly control large chunks of eastern Ukraine. Kucher says the situation in the rebel-controlled areas is dangerous and dire.
Some people that we have evacuated from the war zone were in such shock that they were close to a nervous breakdown. They were shaking non-stop and couldn't believe we got them out.
In between handing out bread and other critical relief supplies to hundreds of families, Kucher says her team is always ready to meet more than just physical needs.
We have many opportunities to share the gospel with people, pray with them, and I have even noticed how thirsty people are for the Word of God. They grab Bibles from our hands. People are open.
Nearly a week after a tenuous ceasefire was signed, explosions rocked the conflict-ridden Donetsk region overnight. Kucher says it's just another sad reminder of the challenges facing her war-weary countrymen. George Thomas, CBN News, Eastern Ukraine.
Up next from northern Iraq, see how churches in Kurdistan are giving shelter and comfort to Christian refugees who've lost everything.
This year, the Islamic ISIS army swept through northern Iraq, forcing thousands of refugees into a life without homes, jobs, and family. Many are Christians who told tales of horror and brutality at the hands of the jihadi army.
Well, now they face an uncertain future, but CBN's Chris Mitchell shows us how churches are helping to fill that void with help and hope. Here's the report now from Erbil, Kurdistan.
Over this past week, the army of ISIS swallowed up parts of Iraq like a darkness. In just one day, tens of thousands of Christians fled villages like Karakush and Bartilla, just about 25 miles away. Most have come here to Erbil with nothing more than the clothes on their back.
They take everything from the house, from the store, everything. And they take like machine, everything, because they are Christian. Just the name Christian. They hate Christian especially. We don't know why.
It was leave or die.
They say if anyone don't become like Muslim, we're gonna kill it. Kill it. Each one, from baby and woman, one, old man.
We don't have anything here. They bombed the churches and already took our houses. We have nothing here. No money, no ID, no travel documents.
What's happening now to the Christians, to the Yazidis, to the minorities, and like in the last couple of days, mostly to the Christians, is a genocide. What's happening is what happened 200 years ago with the Jews.
Dr. Ahmed hears stories of the barbarism of ISIS.
That ISIS was killing, shooting the kids and the people, and they are laying them on the ground, and they bring tractors that they walk over them in the front of their families. They take women out of their houses. So let's say each family that they have three daughters, they would take one.
In the wake of the ISIS advance, thousands of ethnic Yazidis escaped to a mountain outside the town of Sinjar, while these Christians found shelter at this Catholic compound in Erbil. A few weeks ago, these families fled when ISIS cleansed Mosul of Christians. ISIS gave them an ultimatum.
They gave us 4 choices: either convert to Islam, or paying tax, or leaving the city, or the sword. They are using the sword to cut off hand and also beheading others. So I don't think this is the behavior of human beings, but wild animals do that.
ISIS looted their properties and left them destitute. They took this woman's dentures, wedding ring, and documents.
They took everything. We asked them, please give us something to show that we owned our car, our home. They said, here you have nothing.
ISIS searched the home of one Christian in Mosul and discovered these 2 New Testaments, one with a camouflage on the cover and the other with an American flag inside. They accused him of being both a missionary and a spy. ISIS put his name on a list. He told his story, but asked us to hide his identity.
Hey, stop, get back. You are a Christian. The terrorist told me we will kill you.
Sometimes the pressure is overwhelming.
Jesus, save me. Oh, the terrorist. Forgive them. Because they didn't know. They didn't know what they want, what they act.
Even though these Christians are the original people of the region, many simply want to leave. They're pleading for the U.S., the UN, and Pope Francis to help.
We are asking the responsible states of the international community to come and look and see how all the people are living here.
Where can you go when you've lost almost everything? Many of the churches in Erbil literally opened their doors for the many Christian refugees that fled the advance of ISIS. They simply feel that it's the church's calling to provide refuge for families like these. The Kurdsman Church transformed their building into a true sanctuary.
The building is for the humanity.
Pastor Majid Mohammed opened doors for both Christians and non-Christians.
We wanted to show those people we don't care that they are Christians, Yazidis, Muslims. We don't care about that because they are human beings and they have been fired out, kicked out at their home by ISIS and the terrorist groups. So this is why we wanted to show them that as a Christians we love them and we are very glad to have them here and serve them.
This man led a mini exodus of several families to the Kurdsman Church.
On behalf of all the people right here, Pastor Majid is really showing the love of Jesus.
Across town at the Ankara AOG Church, families who are now safe talked about the violent ultimatum they faced.
We have been told by ISIS if we don't convert to Islam, either they will kill us or we will have to leave the city.
For most, it wasn't a choice at all.
We prefer to die rather than convert to Islam. God has created us as Christians, and we don't want to convert to Islam. The power of God keeps us and strengthens us to remain as Christians.
Most will never return, like this policeman who escaped with his family and 10-day-old baby.
I am already wanted by the Islamic groups over there. And secondly, I am a Christian. As a minority, I am also wanted by ISIS, so we cannot go back there anymore.
Most told us they simply want to leave Iraq.
This is the only way or the only solution for our problem, because we cannot go back to our home and we cannot stay here. We want to go out. Even if they provided international protection, we don't want to keep staying here.
Their long-term fate remains one of the major questions in this humanitarian crisis. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Erbil, Kurdistan.
Finally today, a family in Tennessee is using social media to search for a couple willing to adopt their 6 unborn children.
Meet the Watts family. In vitro fertilization gave them 4 kids, and the process left them with 6 unused embryos. Instead of having those embryos destroyed, the mother, Angel Watts, is using Facebook to find the perfect couple to donate them to. But there is a catch.
I would really like for the family that takes them, to really want a large family.
The Watts family wants to see all of the embryos donated to just one family so the siblings aren't split up across the country. I get that, yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully they'll find that family.
That is the prayer.
Yes,
indeed. Indeed. That is going to do it now for CBN News Today. We've got exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News.